All right, DTN living life. I'm Tex. Wife Dawn, she's actually inside this unit right here. This Resonate, the one I'm driving. Dawn is driving the actual Passat. And yeah, somebody wanted to drive in front of me here. Wanted to make sure I wasn't going to walk in front of them there. She's driving the Pasadena. Okay. I'm Tex, DTN living life, and we are taking these two to North Carolina and South Carolina. Salisbury and Elizabeth, I think it is. Mine's going to South Carolina and Dawn's going to North Carolina. We are taking these two there, and then we are going to go to North Carolina. There's supposedly like 7 different locations. There's waterfalls you can walk in and walk around and walk through and get wet, have fun. So we're gonna go see if we can find 1 or 2 of those. But yeah, we're at a Love's for the night. I don't even know where this Love's is at. It's out here off of 33 in Ohio. It was on the way to Columbus, so I'm not even sure where we're at. Love's doesn't even advertise the city here, so I'm not too sure. But Dawn's driving this Pasadena Class C. And yeah, the unique thing happens to be is that somebody asked me a question in reference to money. Just to let you know, I think it's about 5, maybe 4 to 6 videos back. There is a video in reference to money, and it's actually labeled money. But they asked in reference to making $1,500. The answer is, can you do that in a week? $1,500 take home. The answer is yes. That you definitely can. Just to put it out there. The answer is definitely yes. How do you do the calculation? Well, okay. Let's break this down. If you was to drive a full week and did every hour, which would have been 70 hours for the work week, then you're going to be looking at, before you hit your 34-hour reset, if you do that entire 70 hours, divide $1,500, divide by 70, I think it's 21 something cents, so 22 cents a mile is what you need to take home. In any division, you should have that with no problem. The way you can definitely know, and I think I mentioned this in that video, is that you can calculate 50 cents a mile for drive away. Okay, most of them are between 94 cents and $1.10. So yeah, you're going to have an average of anywhere between $1 a mile. So 50% of that's going to be 50 cents a mile. So you can definitely calculate on that. So yeah, take that and times it by your 70. Take it, times it by well, that's a mile, so therefore you figure you're doing 53 miles an hour. You take that 50 cents, times it by 53 miles an hour. That's what you're going to make per hour. Take that and times it by that 70, and now you know what you're going to make in a week. All depends on what you're going to drive. Once again, if you're only going to drive the total amount of drive in a day of 8 hours a day and 5 days a week, that's 40 hours. Now you take and divide that and see what it comes up to. So take your 1,500 and divide it by 40, and now you know what you need to make per mile. Take home. Remember that this job, when it comes across and tells you it's $1 per mile, 40% of that is going to your expense of the vehicle. Whether you're driving tow away, whether you're driving multi-tow, multi-haul, which is your 18-wheeler, which is paying $2 or $3 and $4 a mile. Okay, but your expense is definitely up there. and a rig that's costing you just, well, right now pickups and rigs are costing about the same, but you got a trailer and you got all the time spent of loading those guys. So you do make more doing that, but at the same time, the expense on that rig is a little bit higher than a pickup, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I know some people's probably going to have, it's going to be both. Some people's going to say no, the pickup's just as much as the rig, or rig's just as much as the pickup. And then there's going to be people that says yes, the rig is definitely more expensive to maintain than the pickup. So it's how you deal with it. To give you an idea, the car. I mean, we spend $50 per oil change. We get oil changes between every 7 to 10,000 miles. Yes, on this car, 7 to 10,000 miles. It's not a 3,000 mile oil change car. Number one, synthetic. Number two, it's not driven in stop and go traffic continuously. It has more over the road miles. It's got 200,000 miles on it in 2.5, 3 years. So 200,000 miles, engine's still not showing metal fragments or burns or anything to that effect, so we're good. Other mechanical parts are breaking down first. So in other words, brakes got to be changed, rotors got to be changed, things like that's got to be changed. No, for the brakes and rotors on this thing's probably going to cost me $1,000, maybe $1,500 top. Well, on that truck, your front brakes are going to cost $1,500. Okay. Especially if you're driving anything that's a 450 Ford 450 or 4500, it's going to be up there, because that 450 is the breaking point, is the change point where you have heavier equipment on it. So hence it costs more. Your brakes and your brake pads are larger. They handle braking and smoother. And just to throw it out there, buying a 3500 or 350 versus a 450 or 4500, I still have not found a reason for doing that. Buying the 250 or the 2500, that's for your non-CDL drivers or your CDL drivers that's picking to be driving something small. So those are the things I definitely will throw out there. Here's something else that I will throw my opinion at, and I can be wrong. When you come down to purchasing these trucks and you look at what the tow weight is, and it says it can handle, let's say, 20,000 pounds. Should you tow 20,000 pounds? Absolutely not. You should only tow 2/3 or less, preferably half of what your tow weight is. So if your tow weight's 20,000, your 2/3 is going to be 15,000. So, and then your half is 10,000, or right below 15,000. 15,000 is 3/4, 75%. Sorry about that, but yeah. So that's what I think you should take into consideration. Whatever the max is, only 2/3. That'd be 66% of 20,000 is going to be. Let me think here. 20,000 would be 2 times 6, be 12, be around 12,000. Yeah, 12 to 13,000. So that's what you're probably looking at. Okay, of towing. If it was my honest opinion, whatever your max is that says it can tow, take it and times it by 0.66, and that should be your max. And your ideal should be at 50%. So whatever that amount is, take it and times it by 0.5, and now you know what you got. So there's just two more pieces in reference to how to do calculations, how to make a vehicle last, how to deal with all the different things. Keep up on maintenance. You want your vehicle to last, number one thing is keep up with maintenance. Don't come across and make the comment saying, well, It's just now getting to an oil change. We'll put this off for another. It seems to be running good. No. Do set up a pattern, know your vehicle, and get to know what it's doing, okay? 85%, if not 95%, everybody's doing oil changes on diesel trucks around 10,000. I wouldn't hesitate. I would definitely do the 10,000. That's the ideal goal. And there's some people say you do the fuel filter every other oil change. Some people are saying do the fuel filter on every change. It's your preference, but if it was me, I would probably be doing it every change. And that's just the way I would look at it. I would calculate that expense in my expenses of the vehicle, and try to make sure that I'm staying on top of that. Okay, so let's see here. What else is there? Trying to think here. I lost concentration. All the different things I was going to talk about. But anyway, we are headed, like I said, to North Carolina to go do some walking through waterfalls and see about that. And then we're going to try to do a couple more loads and then take a little break, probably. The industry says that there's several people that's posting video or comments in reference to layoffs and shutdowns and things like that, and the industry's slowing down and all that good stuff. Well, okay. Is it slowing down? I don't know for sure right this moment, but I can tell you that last year was a 6% increase. 333,000 units were delivered. So, which was 6.6% more than the year before. And the year before was at, I think, 5%. So it is still increasing. Not a lot, but it is increasing. So I would definitely say that the industry is still going. There is still a lot of RVs being sold. More travel trailers than there are drivable units. I think the increase in tow behinds were 17%, and there was a decrease in motor coaches. So in the driveway division, I could see the decrease happening there. So yeah, I would say that is definitely there. But are we staying busy? We're still staying busy, and we'll stay busy as long as our dispatcher keeps giving us something. And just to touch base, the last video was in reference to the unit that broke down on me with the brake fluid stuff. And then I picked up another unit and went to the same location, which was Port St. Lucie. Came back, and then me and the wife took 2 units and went to Phoenix. And we just came back from there, and now we're going out to, like I said, South Carolina, North Carolina. So we're staying busy, and we're picking a lot of the areas. We're not picking the exact locations because that's virtually impossible in some cases. For sometimes, like towables right this moment, you can get a bumper pool and probably pick your location and go exactly within 100 miles or 200 miles, or in the same state in some cases, excluding Texas. Yeah, you could ask to go to Houston and end up going to El Paso. That's a full day's drive there. Completely opposite locations. But yeah. So you will more than likely cover or come close to the location you want to go. Do I still recommend people coming to this job? Yes, I always recommend people coming to this job. Use my number 9677, and my information is always underneath the videos. Horizon's contact, and let's touch base on that. I've had a couple people ask me in private, about doing this job, and they've asked what company would you drive for, or which company would you tow for. Number one, the most amount of complaints come from people that drive for Horizon. And the reason for that complaint is because Horizon's the pickiest company that's out there that I can see myself. This is my opinion. Talking to other companies, I have not driven for them, but I've talked to other companies. And the things that are required at Horizon is not required at some of the other companies. But then when you find out on the road what Horizon requires, all meets or goes above the legal standard. So therefore, I would rather drive for a company that wants to put me above the legal standard so I have fewer issues, compared to a company that wants to just put me out there, and when something happens they say, oh, you did it, you're driving, it's you, it's all you. So when you come down to pick something, and as Papa used to say, no, when you go to work for a company, you don't go into that interview for them to ask you questions. You go into that interview for you to ask them questions. Put them on the spot. Let them know that they're getting somebody that wants the best of the best. So be prepared. Know your questions. Go into it. And you should pay off really well there. Alrighty. I think that should do it. If you have any questions or anything to that effect, as always, post them. Catch me on Facebook. Peace, love, and jelly beans, people. Like, dislike, like again, subscribe, and notifications bell. And it's time for me to go sit down and relax for a while. Alrighty. Y'all have a good one. Signing out from Love's Hardee's somewhere here in Ohio, South Ohio.